Joseph was a man from Imo State, a village surrounded by the sounds of life, where the trees whispered tales of the past, and the rivers carried the voices of those who had gone before. He met Beauty, a young woman with an innocent smile and an open heart. Together, they formed a bond that seemed unbreakable. Their love was once a story told through shared glances, laughter in the evening air, and the joy of knowing their future was intertwined. Beauty gave Joseph the gift of 5 children. 4 daughters, each bearing a unique beauty and strength, and a son who brought joy to their family. The house was always filled with the sounds of their voices, their dreams, and their hopes. The walls of their home knew nothing but the warmth of family, love, and laughter. Joseph worked hard, though the weight of his responsibilities seemed to press down on him at times, leaving him distant from his loved ones. But one day, Joseph's heart began to wander. He found another woman, one whose presence seemed to fill a void he didn't know existed. Beauty, ever the caring wife, noticed the shift in her husband's behavior. The evenings grew colder, the days longer, and the once warm conversations turned into quiet exchanges, each one filled with an unspoken distance. Joseph left his family for the new woman, leaving Beauty and their children to fend for themselves. He became a shadow in their lives, a distant figure who no longer shared in their joys or their pains. Beauty, though devastated, took on the mantle of both mother and father. She worked tirelessly to provide for their children, teaching them love and resilience, even when she felt like the weight of the world was crushing her. As the years went by, Joseph's absence became a heavy burden, but Beauty never gave up. She refused to let her children suffer. She was their rock, their protector, and the guide. Despite the emotional toll it took on her, she never allowed her children to feel the absence of their father, even though they longed for his presence. Joseph, on the other hand, grew bitter. He tried to frustrate Beauty and their children, using his power to manipulate and control, hoping to make them feel his absence. He would send hurtful words and actions their way, but Beauty remained steadfast. She shielded her children from the pain, teaching them to rise above his cruelty. There came a time when Joseph fell ill. His body, once strong and proud, began to wither. The man who had once been the head of the household now lay in a bed, frail and broken. Beauty, despite all that he had done, did not turn her back on him. Her heart, though scarred, knew no bitterness. She gathered their children and told them that it was time to forgive. Together, they went to Joseph's side. The sight of their father, once so full of life, now a shadow of himself, stirred something deep within them. Beauty whispered words of forgiveness, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling within her. "We are a family, Joseph. We may have been broken, but we are still here." The children, though still hurt by their father's abandonment, knew the weight of the moment. They, too, forgave him. Their hearts, though scarred by his actions, softened in the presence of his weakness. Joseph, lying there, felt the love and care of those he had abandoned, and for the first time in years, he felt the sting of regret. Yet, despite the forgiveness, the wounds of the past were too deep to heal. Beauty had given everything she had to her children and to Joseph, but her own heart was bruised, and the emotional toll was heavy. She had cared for him at his lowest, but the pain of the years weighed on her, and though her actions were of love, she could not survive the depths of her grief. Joseph's sickness took a toll on him too. The love he had so carelessly thrown away now consumed him with guilt. He saw the faces of his children, their expressions a mixture of love, pain, and compassion. He saw beauty, her strength and grace undeniable, even in the face of his failures. He wished for more time, but time was slipping away, and his body could no longer fight the sickness. In his final moments, Joseph looked at Beauty and their children. He saw the family he had once abandoned, and the family that had forgiven him. The pain in his heart grew as he realized that he had lost more than just a wife and children, he had lost the love that could have sustained him. His past mistakes had brought him to this moment, where all he could do was whisper words of apology that would never be enough. Beauty, holding his hand in her own, whispered softly, "It's too late for us, Joseph, but we have forgiven you. It is time for you to rest now." She kissed his forehead, feeling the weight of the years they had spent apart, the years she had spent alone. Her heart, though broken, had finally found peace. Joseph, with his last breath, murmured a weak, "Thank you, for everything." He closed his eyes, and his suffering ended. But for Beauty and their children, the pain remained. The scars of his abandonment were deep, and though they had forgiven him, the wounds would take a lifetime to heal. In the days that followed, Beauty and her children buried Joseph, the man who had once been their everything, but who had lost him to his own selfishness. They stood together at his grave, not as a broken family, but as a family bound by love and forgiveness. They had come through the storm, and though the road ahead would still be hard, they knew they would walk it together. The children, now grown, would carry their mother's strength in their hearts. They would remember the lessons she taught them, of love, of resilience, and of the importance of family. Joseph's memory, though tainted by the past, would no longer define them. They had survived, and they would thrive, no matter the pain that had once been. Beauty, though scarred, stood tall. She had given her all to her family, and in the end, her love had triumphed over the hurt. She knew that no matter what came next, she would face it with the same strength and grace that had carried her through the darkest of times. She had forgiven, and in doing so, had freed herself. And so, they moved forward, together yet apart from the man who had been their father and husband. Their lives, though marked by sorrow, would be filled with the joy of knowing that love and forgiveness had the power to heal, even when the wounds seemed too deep to mend.